All right, it's working. Okay, so first of all, I'd like to thank you for your participation. Thank you for agreeing to participate in our study. First of all, I'd like to highlight that all the information is going to be private, so it's going to be preserved just by my research team. And my supervisors, they're going to see just the outcomes that I bring. So actually, I'm going to be the only one that is going to access this data. And I'm going to be happy to clarify if you have any questions. So first of all, I'd like to know you better. So, what's your name? What's your role? What's your background? How long have you been working here? How your team is composed?
Okay. So I'm Sue Benson. I've been working at the uni for 15 years in property all of the time.
Uh huh.
Currently in the position of executive assistant to the executive director, Julia Churchill. Um, I have one other sort of admin person in my team, but that'll change shortly with a property change paper.
Uh huh.
So I won't have anyone reporting to me. Yeah, so I've been through a few different directors and
That's
in
great.
15 years, so I've worked for a few different people. So yeah, so I've seen the place change a lot over time.
Well, what kind of change you can see recently? Like, of course, there is a lot of people that change, but what else have been?
Oh, look, I guess the flexible work arrangements is a big difference. It never used to be something that was available to anyone. Yeah, paper, like when I first came, everything was printed and, filed and it was a real mess. And we've just gradually gotten less reliant on paper. Yeah, just the way we do things.
You said 15 years already. So, in this arrangement that you guys are now, how long have you guys been in this flexible work arrangement that you guys are working now?
Oh, only since COVID. Yeah.
Only since COVID.
Yeah.
And how was it before COVID?
Um, you were expected to come in every day. We had a different director then as well, but it wasn't really. I don't think it was ever anything that the. We had the facilities. We could work from home, I guess, but it was never really an option for us. So if you were feeling a little bit unwell, you would actually take the day off, a sick day kind of thing. Whereas now, probably, if you think you might be contagious or something, you make a point of working from home, not making anyone else sick.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But how was it specifically? Like, you needed to request? Was like just by request that you were going to work from home?
Well, before, well, I don't think it was an option. I don't remember ever sort of saying, I'll work from home before COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Until we were actually, forced out of the offices and, had to set everyone up to work from home.
Mm-hmm.
So before that, it wasn't an option. Not for me, and not for most people.
And how was this change process in detail? Of course, like there was the pandemic that started.
Yeah.
And then, but I imagine that before that was already like changing, like as you were saying, like from paper to something digital.
Yeah.
So somehow you needed to be prepared. So how was this transition?
Well, I guess part of the pandemic was the trigger. So all of a sudden people had to work from home. We had a number of people in here who had desktop PCs. So I was scrambling around trying to find spare laptops to give them so they could work from home. Since then, I've changed the policy in the office that no one has a desktop anymore. If you're getting something new, you have to have a laptop. That way, your laptop goes where you are. You can work from home or in the office. Yeah, that's sort of that was the trigger that started it all. Since then, everyone has the option of working from home, and I think when things were starting to get back to normal, I think HR announced that there was this flexible policy. and people in the office, not everyone was back in the office full time anyway, so I think they just continued on doing what they were doing. There's been times in the office when they've sort of said, we don't want you working from home this much.
Mm-hmm.
So there's been a few restrictions, I guess, with sort of saying to people, well, you got to be in the office. There was a time when they said you can't take Monday, or one section said you can't take Mondays or Fridays, but then that was soon changed. They weren't happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
So there has been some restrictions, or requests, but I think now it's generally everyone's in a pattern, and they will take 1 or 2 days a week, or work from home 1 or 2 days a week. A lot of people, not everyone, no.
Mm-hmm. How was this necessity, like to come up with some policies, to come up with some restrictions? Why those restrictions come up?
I think it was someone new, and they were just trying to, I don't know, please the boss. I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not sure the reasoning behind it. It didn't make sense at the time. So, yeah. I think that, I guess in my view, if with a team, you need to have a presence of someone in the team, in the office, every day. I think that's what I think.
At least one person in the office every day.
Yeah, at least.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's also, I think it's important to be able to get your whole team together and, talk and share and collaborate.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's important as well. So, and each team is different. Some of our teams actually, most of their work is here on campus, so they actually need to be on campus to do their work.
Mm-hmm.
They may have a lot of paperwork which they could do 1 day a week, but the bulk of the time they really need to be in the office, on campus.
Because of the nature of the work. Great. And why do you think that at least one person have to be here in the office?
I just so that if there's an issue or something like that, it's so much easier to just go and talk to someone. And then they may say, oh, so-and-so does that they're working from home today, and then you can contact them. But it's more just the convenience of, it's more if issues arise or if someone comes in person to visit a certain section and there's no one there, like, it's just better, easier if there's someone here.
So I understand there's something like kind of communication, like you can have a better communication if there is one person here in terms of processes. Is there anything else that helps you, that is important to have one person here in the office every day? One more reason?
Another reason?
Yeah.
No, not really. It's just a general vibe.
Just this vibe of communication and stuff. That's pretty great. Do you think that somehow this can affect the productivity of the company, of the employees, of managers? Do you think that to be in the office or to be remotely can affect the productivity somehow?
I don't know. It depends on the individual. There's some individuals where you sort of think, no, really? You're really doing work? And others that are just plowing through the work. So, yeah, it just depends.
Can you give me some examples for me to understand those contexts, those two contexts that you were highlighting now?
Oh, I suppose you just know individuals, and you know what they're like, and you know what their work ethic is. So I guess it's a gut feeling. It's not proven. I'm not their manager. If I was their manager, I would be purely doing it on outcomes and also communications. Like, I suppose one of the things that I really find difficult.
Oh, sorry.
with the flexibility, with flexible work and that, is that there needs to be tools like Teams, where someone can be quickly contacted just in a chat, an online chat. Not everyone, it's not essential. A lot of people don't use it. And if they don't, and sometimes people don't want to give you their mobile number because it's not a MQ provided number. So you have to send them an email, and that's not immediate. So I've worked for, this many years ago, I used to work for IBM, and we were all given a laptop and a phone, and so you could work just about anywhere. But you were contactable. There was always, I forgot the name of the thing, but there was always a chat function. So that
Teams?
No, it wasn't Teams. It was, I can't remember now. It was a long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how the majority of people communicated, was just always in this chat function. And so you knew when people were there or they weren't there. So I find, to me, that's almost, not exactly, but almost the equivalent of sort of being in the office, because you know that you can contact, you've got that comfortable feeling of, if I need to contact them urgently, they're there, they're in my keyboard.
And you were saying about like the feeling, and how do you feel like after you started working remotely in terms of connection with your workmates? So with your,
I felt isolated. It was during the pandemic.
I mean, after the flex work, but during the pandemic, we can start
during the pandemic. I felt isolated. I hated it. So. Yeah.
Like you feel that your connection with the others like was compromised?
Oh, there was only certain people that I really had regular connections with. So yeah, a lot of my work actually comes from being in the office as well. Because I'm there, people come to me and ask whatever. So that's where a lot of my work comes from. So I found during the pandemic, a lot of my work dried up. And yeah, there weren't many meetings or anything to go to. I had some people that would Teams me. We'd have chats and stuff like that, but I didn't.
And you say that the nature of your work requires you to be in person. So
it doesn't. But I find that I get a lot more work when I'm actually in the office. Because people will just yell out and say, "Oh, I need this, I need that." That's my work. That's what I do. So I'll just make sure everyone's got what they need, or they can find whatever they need, and that sort of thing.
And how was it when you were remotely to do your tasks?
Well, I guess they don't ask. They try and find themselves, and I don't know, give up or think, "Oh, well, next time I see you," whenever that is.
Do you think that it caused something, any kind of issues, like the fact that they weren't asking?
Oh no, I don't think it was major issues. No, but I could have made them perhaps more productive if that I was there to be able to answer their questions.
Do you think that like they were going to be more productive? What kind, like, just for me to understand what kind of questions that they come to you to?
Oh, they can't find files, or maybe their mouse isn't working properly, or their laptop's old, or what other things that can't they, they can't print, or just things like sort of more technical stuff, I guess, like that. What other things? Yeah, they need some, I don't know, stationary items or something.
And then no, I got it.
How do you feel your day?
And then like they were like doing with this time that they could like require to you and do the job, they were just like looking for find something else by themselves. Is it what
I
you
think
say?
so. That's probably, yeah. Or they just didn't find it and they sort of had to make do with whatever they could find.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I might have more information that would help make their job a bit easier or better because they have more information.
Mm-hmm. And why do you think that they were not asking you?
Because I wasn't there in the face. Yeah.
Do you think that they were like once they needed to message you, they were like more hesitant to do it?
Well, yeah, I think, well, again, see, a lot of people don't use Teams, so they don't think of that as being a tool, the equivalent of just being over there, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Which is the way I see it.
And so it took a bit while, like for the adaptation, for them to adapt to use these tools like this.
I think that's, well, they still haven't adapted. Not everyone is on Teams. So, you know, I think Teams or an equivalent to Teams needs to be part of a toolkit for working from home.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. During this time, there was anybody new that came for the organization?
Yeah, we did. We actually had someone new come in.
Yeah.
And he, I don't know how he managed. Because, yeah, it was a dreadful time to start. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It took him a long time to grasp what his job was.
Took longer time for them to understand what was the job. Why do you think that it was happening?
Oh, because he didn't have people here to tell him. A lot of his work was to do with cleaning and everything on campus, and he was stuck at home in a new job. Nobody else was doing the job, but other people knew what he needed to do. But I think it was very difficult trying to explain to someone who's brand new, not on site, about what their job is. I think it's a lot of it's, well, let's go to so-and-so and have a look and see this. And a lot of it's visual experiencing stuff.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And how do you think that working remotely can affect the professional development of new employees?
Professional development. I don't know. I think it's more the getting to know everyone in the team. I think that's a really big point. Knowing who knows what in the team. So therefore, if you don't have that connection, then you can't learn where to find information or who to talk to about getting a better explanation. So therefore, you know less about what you're trying to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're all connected somehow.
Mm-hmm. So do you feel that sometimes it compromises?
For a new employee, I think it would be really difficult.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think that specifically causes that?
Just simply information gathering.
Uh-huh.
It's not the sort of job like, I don't know, I'm just trying to think of sort of an academic role or something like that. The roles here are specific to Macquarie University campus. So you need to be here and see and do and talk to people who've had experience and know the history or whatever, or point out this is an issue, that sort of thing. It's all quite university specific, campus specific.
Mm-hmm. So, like, what's in the campus was necessary for the person to touch the situation to be more close to the fact. And does the company did something? Does Macquarie did something to try to mitigate this problem?
I don't think so. I think I don't know how you would get around it.
Mm-hmm. The managers were doing something to do it, local managers to try to solve this issue.
We're talking about the new employee that came during the pandemic. Oh, look, I think they were trying. They were trying to help him, point him in the right direction, but it was all remotely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Great, great, and and also and what and how were the meetings of the organization during the this time that you guys were working remotely?
Yeah, they were all via Zoom, weren't they? I know that a lot of people were getting fatigued with all the Zoom meetings. Um, I didn't have that many, so
Do you
that was
think
fun.
that like the engagement of the teams into the meetings was a little bit different once it was like remote?
Um, well, it can be, I think, but I think being remote is good enough. I think, I think the problem is it can be a bit intense because people are looking at your face all the time, whereas if it's a live meeting in real life, you might be able to just swap out a bit and check out outside or whatever. You've got that bit of a break every now and then, but in Zoom, it's like continuously.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I think that's probably what was causing the fatigue with all the Zoom meetings.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, they seem to achieve what they needed to achieve.
Mm-hmm. What do you think that the facial meetings, the person like in-person meetings are better? How do you think that it can help?
There's just nuances, like, sometimes there's body language and stuff like that. You can just tell. It's just different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I can't articulate it, but just sometimes you will see someone do something or move in a certain way and you think, oh, yes, I know what they're thinking. That's just intuition,
Intuition, got
which
it.
isn't always picked up online.
Uh-huh, uh-huh, uh-huh. And if you have to enumerate, to describe actually, what means flexible work for you, particularly for you? What does it mean?
For me personally, it means I have an option to work from home
Mm-hmm.
occasionally. Um, yeah, that's about all for me. But like the girl in my team, she has a young baby, so I think there's more need for her to have flexible work. And she regularly works one day from home, and she works a shorter week. And sometimes she needs to sort of zap off home because the baby's sick or whatever, like, so I'm all for that. I'm all for being flexible because I know how hard it is when you've got a young child. Yeah, what other? I'm just trying to think what other flexibilities. Whether it's some people have got a 9-day fortnight, which is something I used to have many years ago when I started here. But yeah,
9 day for night. How is it?
Well, you work longer days, and then you have a day off a fortnight.
Got it.
So, which is what it used to be when I first came here. It was lovely, and they cut that out. So, yeah. But I think there's one guy who actually works in our health and safety person. He works in HR. He has a 9-day fortnight. Yeah, so some people do that.
Uh-huh.
Not anyone else here I know of, but yeah, so that's another option, I guess.
Uh-huh.
That'd be nice, but don't rock the boat because I know that. Well, this might be controversial. I know that it's not exactly the bosses don't exactly love it when you want to take the flexibility. So,
Why do you think that they don't love it?
because it's easier for them if you're there all the time. Just easier.
Easier? How easier?
because I'm there and then you're like, hey, Sue, turn around and sort it. So, yeah, so that's...
Eh, and do you live? How many people do you live with?
At the moment, 2 others.
Two other people, like your relative,
Family,
family,
husband and son.
a husband and a son. And no, and how was the interaction with them when you were working from home?
It was fun. Was there 3? No, there were 3 of us at home during the pandemic. Yeah, no, it was fine because my husband has his own office. He often works from home 4 days a week. He's in IT and has been doing that for 100 years. And so at the start of the pandemic, we just set up an office for myself, and then my son, he had his desk and everything set up in his room. So I'd say goodbye to my husband in the morning and go downstairs and work from there. I'd see him at lunchtime. And basically, that's how so it worked fine at home.
You were like separate setups of work.
We've got a big house, so we could separate. So, some people were working with kitchen tables and stuff like that. Would have been awful. But so we were lucky.
Great. And how was it for you guys in the beginning? I don't know. Imagine that. I don't know. Your husband was already working remotely before that, and then how was it when you guys decided that all of you were going to need to work remotely? How did you manage, like for example, to have lunch together, or I don't know?
It was pretty easy. Yeah, it wasn't an issue at all. It just worked.
And what do you do when you work from home normally? Like you think that you can spend more time with your family? How's it like?
Well, I kind of like it because I start probably a little bit earlier, so my mornings are more or less just the same. I get up and go for a walk and get ready and then just go downstairs and start working. But I might think, I'll just put a load of washing on, and it'll take me 5 minutes, but you've got the washing going, and yeah, so just little things like that. In the lunch hour, you can quickly vacuum or clean the bathroom, that sort of thing. So that's kind of nice, being able to do that. So you're sort of quite organised.
So you feel that like working in a flexible arrangement helps you to be more organized, is it?
Leaving more time on the weekend to relax and have fun.
You can have more free time, and after you started to work 100%, started to work in person again. Like, how did you manage this kind of small tasks that you were able to do before?
I just leave them all for the weekend, or when I get home sometimes. But mainly leave it for the weekend.
And but what do you prefer if you had the opportunity to choose? Would you prefer to do them, or you'd prefer to I prefer to leave for the weekend? How was it going to be for you?
Oh, look, if I could choose, I would probably like to work from home 1 day a week, and that way I could get some tasks done as well. Leave the weekend a little bit free. But I do like to come in. I like to communicate with people and just get out of the house. And,
If you could work at least once a week, you are going to work from home.
Yeah, that would be nice.
And then nowadays, normally, how many days you work from home?
0.
Normally.
Normally, yeah. Occasionally I might work from home.
What make you choose to work from home or not?
Well, as I said before, if I have something that I have to, or a medical appointment or something like that in the middle of the day, it's just easier if I work from home, and then I take less time to sort of get to the doctors and that sort of thing. So occasionally I'll do that. Not very often. Probably I've only done it once or twice. Or if there's a workman coming and I have to be there to supervise them or talk to them or whatever. That's the only time.
And If you have like here in your organization the opportunity to manage the flexible work arrangement, how would you manage that? You are going to like choose for some people to do in a different way. You are going to ask for, I don't know, have more flexibility. So how is going to be in your point of view?
If I was, if I
If
was
you
in charge,
if you are in charge to decide that.
I would make it compulsory for everyone to be logged onto Teams.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not to say they've got to be sitting at their desk the whole time. I would expect them to communicate with their manager if they were going to be away from their laptop for a couple of hours for whatever reason. I would expect them to speak to their manager and let them know, and then make up the time later on in the day or earlier in the day or whatever. Yeah, so flexibility, so taking responsibility for making sure that you work your hours, but also be contactable all the time. I think that, to me, that's really important. Yeah.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And why do you think that why do you think that in this way was going to be better in terms of organization?
Because I suspect there are some people who might say they're working from home, but might be going on holidays early, or it happens. Yeah. So I just think it would make people more accountable.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that that working from home has any kind of relation with trust from the employees?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
how is it? How is this
Well,
interrelation?
yeah, there's some people take advantage of the trust. And that's why I think if you're being able to be contacted, which is like if you're in the office, you're contactable. So why not be contactable when you're at home? You're working, you're doing the same job. And I think it's because you're contactable. And I think it's just if your managers need to know what their staff are doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not saying, it's more like I know what they're working on at the moment. That's a big job. I'll leave them to do it. You know what I mean? Like, it's more just I just think some managers don't know what their staff are doing, and their staff might be sitting at home and nothing to do.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not their fault either, because they're not being managed.
Mm-hmm. Do you think this is a problem? Like if the staff member is like, for example, seated in the work time and maybe like changing the shift. So how do you feel? Do you feel this is an issue?
If they're changing the shift.
Yeah, for example, they are like in the work time, they were like more relaxing, and then they're working a different timing.
No, look, that's fine, and it's all to do with the manager knowing their staff and how they
Knowing
prefer
it
to work.
clearly, like
Yeah.
to tell the managers.
Yeah, I would expect if I was working from home and I was not going to be working all afternoon, I would let my manager know, look, I've got to do this afternoon, but don't worry, I'll be making up later on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just so that if they were trying to contact me, they know where I am or why I'm not there, why I'm not answering.
Mm-hmm. Great, great. And I want to understand as well one hypothetical situation. If the organization comes to you and say, so since today, everyone is going to start working 100% from home. This is going to be our policy. How would you feel? How was going to be your perceptions related to it?
I had to work 100% from home.
Everyone here in the department.
Oh, well, it happened, didn't it? Look, not happy about it, but if it's only temporary, I'll do it.
If it's temporary, it's not a problem. If it's permanent.
If it's permanent, no. Oh, well, look, I'll just keep working while I want the money and then I'm out. I'm gone. I mean, there's nothing to keep me.
So do you think that like your flexibility is a kind of benefits that you receive from the organization?
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, it is. It's not essential, but it's nice to have. And you know, like it's all. Well, I'm a great believer of it's swings and roundabouts. You give and you take, and I like to work in credit, so therefore I'll work a bit longer, so that I've got the flexibility then later to work a bit less. That's how I like to operate. So.
And in the opposite, and if it was the opposite, they say that since tomorrow everyone's gonna work 100% from the office, like was set it. How was going to be? How we were going to receive this information?
I'll be fine.
We would be fine with this.
I know there'd be a lot of unhappy people, but it wouldn't affect me.
It wouldn't affect you. Why?
Because I'm nearly in the office 100% now. That's how I work. So it wouldn't affect me. I mean, I suppose if that option goes, not that I use it, well, it's one option that maybe, maybe I'd be a bit unhappy losing the option. But really, my day-to-day work wouldn't affect me.
You would be unhappy because of losing the option. So do you think there is a kind of autonomy that you receive once you are working in a flexible arrangement, or like a sense of power, or I don't know, authority? How do you feel? How do you see this feeling?
If it was taken away from me.
Yeah, you say there is a kind of authority.
Well, it's just kind of. No, it's not authority and all that, because the boss is the boss and what they say goes. But it's just more that it's an option that I had before is gone. So that's fine if that's what the boss wants. If I, for some reason, can't be in the office, I'll take a sick day or a leave day. It's easily fixed. It doesn't happen very often.
If you have to highlight what are the positive aspects of working from home and the positive aspects of, or in the negative aspects of working from home, what is it in your point of view?
I think the main thing is talking to people. I think that's kind of important to me. Is the engaging with real people in real life. That's what's important to me. So the work I can do at home, or I can do here, but it's the people that I like to come. And look, I've been working for so long, I'm so used to it. But that's what I like to do.
You and what else that are like positive aspects that are working from home and negative aspects?
Well, positive was you can get some tasks done. It's more relaxing. That's kind of all I can think of.
In negative,
negative.
Yeah.
Well, not interacting with as many people. The sense of a little bit of sense of frustration in that it's harder to contact people. It's a bit frustrating because you sort of think, I haven't looked on Teams. No, they're not on Teams. There was so many and I only had that quick question that I wanted. That you would, if you're in the office, you'd be yelling out, "Hey, so and so, what's the phone number?" or something like that. Whereas if you're at home, you can't just quickly yell out if they're not on Teams. If they're on Teams, that's fine. You can quickly, but if they're not, then you have to send an email. You have to wait for them to respond, and it just takes forever.
And how do you manage your tasks when you work from home? I mean, there is anything that you prioritize to do from home that you say, okay, when I have this kind of tasks, I stay home. When I this kind of task, I prioritize to stay in the office. Is there any kind of task that is like this?
Um, During the pandemic, obviously, I just operated the same as I do in the office, just whatever comes in anyway. However, in the past, if I've got a lot of minutes, if I've been really busy, I've got a lot of minutes to do, that's what I would do at home.
Mm-hmm.
It's very intense, but it's also great to just get them done without the interruptions.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's great. So now that we are arriving the end of the interview, I'd like to open if you want to make any question as well for me to just try to clarify something to you. I'm gonna be happy to clarify as well.
Um, no, I suppose I'm guessing what your survey is about is working out the positives for flexibility
Mm-hmm.
from home and the negatives, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Is that all it's about, or?
Yeah, and to have like the lived experience of the employees. So try to find the experience of everyone to map something, to evaluate how is this experience going across the sectors. So it's pretty much this.
Because I remember many years ago I did an HR certificate course, and one of my projects was I had to do research working from home. I remember the result out of it, we all sort of said, oh, productivity goes up, and not sort of thinking, oh, okay, that's a surprise. But yeah, look, so I can imagine productivity for some people does actually go up because you haven't got the interruption.
Mm-hmm.
You can just keep working. Yeah, I don't know if it's that great mentally for people.
Mm-hmm.
I know one girl who's not at the university, works for another company. She's still working from home, hasn't been in for one day since the beginning of the pandemic. And so she's not been managed properly because I think she's got a mental health issue.
Mm-hmm.
She's scared of COVID still.
Still?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So, so I'm sure she's not the only person. But yeah, so I don't think, I think that needs to be considered as well.
Mm-hmm.
Mental
Yeah.
health.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's pretty true. That's pretty true. Have you seen an impact in the mental health of people that work with you across this time?
No, I don't think so. Nothing springs to mind.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but I can get your point. So thank you for you make your time available in your agenda. So I'm really happy to talk to you. I'd like to ask for your permission. Maybe in the future, we are maybe thinking of making a follow-up meeting again. So if it's possible for me to contact you again, right?
Yeah, okay.
It's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Great, great. And how you said there is one more person that works with you, right? So can I don't know, get in touch with this person?
I think you've already got it on your list. I think you're going to interview her next week.
Ah, great, great. That's awesome. That's perfect. Okay. So thank you for anything. Okay.
That's all right. Okay.
I'm gonna save here.
So you said you've got other people that you're interviewing?
Yeah, I'm gonna interview Muncie.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.